Hello and welcome to the Costume and Play Chit Chat Show. I'm here with Hannah and Sean of Fuzzbutt Cosplay, who we recently had as guests at Geekfest Swansea. If you guys would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm sort of the main makey person behind Fuzzbutt Cosplay, and this is my other half.
I'm just the good-looking one.
My husband Sean, who puts up with all of my crazy ideas and wears what I tell him to wear.
Yeah, someone tells me we might be able to see a couple of those just between you.
Yeah. I've got Shoo, my box troll, and I've got Bucky O'Hare, who looks a little bit drunk, hiding behind Sean over there. There we are, that's better.
Oh, yeah. And we will be getting to meet them and hear a little bit more just after these messages from our sponsors, i.e. me, because that's the only sponsor we have right now. So, upcoming, we have Rapture Gaming Festival, which is down in Colchester. That's actually the weekend coming, which is the 13th and the 14th of May. So if you're down around the south east of England, you should definitely go down there. Is it the southeast? I always forget where Colchester actually is. Okay, so I remember the dates this time. I can't remember where it is. I'm being told, yes, it's in the southeast. It's near London, because it's in Essex. Don't laugh at me, please. I like to pretend I know what I'm doing. I don't. I clearly don't. But that's a local gaming event that will be held down there, and we will be doing the cosplay for it. The next event after that we have coming up is Insomnia Ireland. So if you're in Ireland or can get there easily, from example, Liverpool, which I'm pretty sure has a ferry over there, that's on the 9th and the 11th of June. So go to that. It's fun. Do it. Please. Buy our tickets. I'm terrible at this plugging thing. But if we want to jump back to our wonderful guests here with their terrifyingly dead-eyed puppets. I'm sorry, I just caught that out of the corner of my eye. It's staring at me. So, what got you two into cosplay?
I think, well, when you think about cosplay and sort of the real effort that goes into it, you could probably say we used to cosplay sort of really pathetically and really badly a while ago. I used to be a trader at MCM London twice a year. I used to make plushies. I still do every now and then, but not so much. And I used to go down twice a year, have a dealer's table, and then do a sort of a really lame cosplay because I felt like I had to be fitting in. So I did some characters from some animes and
the 11th Doctor.
Oh yeah, Sean did the 11th Doctor when he first sort of regenerated. Okay. I think I made a Totoro onesie and things like that. That was just sort of as to be in fitting as part of the expo. And then 2011 I stopped going. Number of reasons. Just thought it wasn't really worth it anymore to travel from West Wales all the way to London for a 3-day event. I had quite a big break, but then October 2015, I was teaching in a local school and had sort of a very negative experience, and I spent half term in October pretty much just shut away making something just to take my mind off the negative experience that I'd had shortly before half term. So cue me sort of sat in a pile of cardboard boxes, bits of fur, anything I'd got in the house, and Rocket Raccoon came into being just in time for, there was a small convention at Margam Park, Heroes and Legends, that weekend. So I kind of gave myself a target, and I just sat and made him to sort of take my mind off things with the intention of going to the convention at the weekend wearing him. Because I had it in my head that I couldn't go to the convention and show my face being a teacher. It wasn't sort of seen as you know, a grown-up thing to do. And I thought, if I want to go to this convention, I've got to hide somehow. So that's how I ended up doing Rocket Raccoon. And as it was, we actually won the cosplay at that convention that day, and that pretty much kicked it off. That it's snowballed from there. I took him to that, and then we went to Mersey Comic Con in the November, literally probably about 4 weeks later, and then we won that cosplay competition as well. So that was pretty much me sold, and given all these ideas and seeing everybody else and what they did and how much effort they put into things. It kind of made me want to carry on doing it. So here we are.
Yeah. Were both of those wins with Rocket Raccoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, looking at the photos that are playing in the background, thanks to our wonderful tech, I can see why. So that was essentially just a form of catharsis from the negative experience you had, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
This is just what you had in the house.
Yeah, and if you look inside the head, he's actually all made of cardboard. I literally stuck bits of cardboard around my head and thought, right, how am I going to build this? And how am I going to make the muzzle out here? And I just sat for 3 days with a hot glue gun and a box cutter and some cardboard boxes that I got from McDonald's for free and stuck it all together. And that was that. Basically, that's all of Rocket Raccoon is cardboard and fur.
Well, fair enough. The result is very, very impressive. And really quite lifelike. You wouldn't expect something made of cardboard and scraps to be as good as it is.
Thank you.
So aside from that, is it essentially just a grown-up version of the plushies you used to make? Those on some kind of steroids?
I think so, yeah. It's sort of... I enjoyed making the plushies, and I got sort of quite a following and quite a reputation on DeviantArt, and sort of the plushies was really, really fun thing to do. As with any other creative sort of outlet, it doesn't take long before somebody starts copying and ripping off the ideas. So it got to a point that it wasn't really worth me investing any more time in doing it very much, because the minute I came up with something new and exciting, someone would copy it literally a couple of weeks later. And I just thought, I can't really be doing this anymore. Whereas with the cosplay, it's so big and so much of it and so much goes into it. It's not something that, you know, I don't see a lot of Rocket Raccoons walking around, but I've now got to the point that if I do see another Rocket Raccoon cosplayer, it's like this camaraderie, and we're like, wow, I like how you've done this, and oh, how did you do that, and oh, I love the way you've used this material for this part. And you find it doesn't feel so much, because obviously you don't own the character to start with. Yeah. It's a lot more inclusive, and I find I've met a lot of really, really nice people through the cosplaying, and I think it's been a really, really positive experience. We talk about how the people that we see at quite a lot of conventions regularly have now become like the cosplay family. We all know each other. We all sort of see each other quite a lot. And it's a lot sort of friendlier a community than trying to be a dealer and trying to make money. And you know, it's not about going out there and you've got to go to a convention and you've got to cover your costs, or you can't really afford to be there and you feel bad. It's going out there and enjoying yourself and just seeing how it's sort of clever and ingenious all the different cosplayers are and the different methods they use. So it's been a really, I think it's been a positive. It's a bit of it's a gateway drug once you're into sort of cosplay. It just keeps going and you keep thinking of bigger projects. I mean, we were literally after Free Comic Book Day this weekend. I hope everybody got loads of free comic books. I picked up an Avatar one, and as we were flicking through it, I literally sort of turned around to Sean and said, I'd love to make a Taruk Makto, you know, the big red scary bird thing that they use. I'd love to make one of those. And I never would have considered that a couple of years ago. I thought, nah, that's out of my league. But I keep having these ideas and thinking bigger and bigger. And, oh, what happens if I did this? And how could I make glowing eyes and smoke coming out of noses and things like that? And it's all spurred on by seeing how creative everybody else is and what everybody else comes up with and how you can incorporate sort of the techniques and things into making even bigger and better.
So it's basically just become something that can help pull you higher and higher and test your limits, as it were.
Yeah. That's what I feel it's like. And especially when it comes to a lot of people don't quite... I have seen, especially after... some of the unfortunate events at the last Cardiff where they weren't happy with the judge's decision on who won the cosplay.
Okay.
A lot of people don't actually like cosplay as a competition. Whereas I do quite like that element of it because I feel it kicks my backside into trying and doing more and trying to improve. And you see how much effort people put into their skits and how much sort of effort they put into their costumes. Everybody's game is constantly improving and everybody is learning and developing and getting better and better. And it sort of pulls me in with that. It makes me want to carry on and think of new things to do and how can I do this better, which is always a positive environment to be part of, you know, constantly striving to do better and be better. Obviously you get the negative few that just sit there and go, oh, they got money, they paid for this, they did that. If they haven't put the effort in, then, you know, how do you expect to sort of get to that level and get complimented on your costumes and sort of, it's not about who you know, it's not about whose backside you kiss. It literally is about the skills that you apply and how much effort you put into your skits. I mean, I'm really, really rubbish at the performance element. I'm awful at the performance, normally because I freeze up or have an anxiety attack or just stand there going, I don't know what to do. But at Swansea recently, Costume and Play very kindly asked myself to assist with the judging, and oh my god, it was hard. It was really hard. And looking at everybody's performances, I thought, I am so lazy. I really, really need to do better performances when I'm in my cosplays. Especially just some of the people just rock up and you could see they were nervous beforehand, especially going through the talking through the line before the judging. They were so nervous. And then the minute their music came on and it was their turn to actually perform, you wouldn't have guessed they were nervous. They were incredible. And it's really made me think, right, I really need to seriously think about what I do as a performance and how I have music prepared and just sort of the next level of everything again. And I wouldn't have really considered that had I not been sort of the other side of the table for once.
Yeah. And being able to see from the judge's perspective those people who just flick the switch and become what they're trying to embody on the actual stage.
Yeah. Very much so.
Which is a very difficult skill, as anyone who's worked in theatre or any kind of performance system will know. We can say, yeah, it's like they just flick a switch and then it works. It doesn't. It's a huge amount of rehearsal and practice and planning and tears and pain. All the blood, sweat and tears that goes into being good at anything. Like making something as amazing as the box troll that's just behind you. Would you like to tell us anything about that?
My box troll. Well, this is Shu. He's got a bit of a cold, so runny nose. Not sorry. He does apologise. It's not a cosplay I'd seen done, but I think we were just flicking through Netflix looking for something to watch one day, and Box Trolls came up. And because it's Leica Studios, and I really, really like Coraline and the sort of the stop motion animation, I actually did A-level photography in school, and for my final year I studied animation. And I went and did a sort of work experience with an animation company in Cardiff. So I've always had a love for stop motion and gritty animation and sort of animation that's sort of really quite artsy. So the minute I saw Box Trolls, even though it's not a very big or very popular film and there hasn't been a lot of merchandise and things out for it, it's a gorgeous, I mean, the colours, the palette, the style, it's just a film that I love. And the fact that there's no sort of agenda underneath it, it's really just quite a sweet, honest film. And I really liked just sort of the way all the characters were. It was one I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a box troll.
Yeah. So it was just a
So,
good, fun, colourful animated romp that had a great opportunity for a costume for you.
yeah, and what I generally do, if I think of an idea for a cosplay, I Google, box troll cosplay, and I see what other people come up with, and what has been done, and then I try and fit myself somewhere and think, right, well, if somebody's been able to do that, I should be able to do something along these lines, but apply sort of my skills and my look on it to it. And I couldn't really find any pictures of box troll cosplays other than some sort of children's parties outfits, and then the actual ones that they've done for the movie release. So I looked at those and I sort of thought, well, I'm going to use an actual box, but then the rest I'll make, and it just sort of spiraled from there.
I like how you just describe it as spiraling, a bit like a plane crash. What cosplay is going down in
It
flames.
all starts as something innocent, and then down you go.
So that's how you end up cosplaying, from deciding that you want to do it. What actually makes you choose a cosplay, though? What draws you to a character? Because you've got a hell of a variety in characters as well.
Generally, I mean, if you were to group the cosplays that I have, sort of, if you were to put them in boxes, they're all short. They've all got a bit of an attitude problem, and they're all a little bit badass, especially Rocket Raccoon. I mean, he was the starter. So, of course, Shu in the Box Trolls is, he's quite a grumpy box troll. He has a plunger, and he's a bit of a grumpy sort of box troll. So that's sort of how he fit. And then I've got Bucky O'Hare as well, which, if you know your 80s cartoons, you will know that he was quite sort of
grouchy.
He was quite a grouchy sort of character with a bit of a vendetta, and sort of, he wanted to kill the Toads. His attitude fits with sort of my outgoing sort of personality, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I generally pick small, grumpy characters that, I think that's generally my checklist is, are they short? Are they grumpy? Are they furry? Do I have the materials in my stash? That's always a good start as well. If I've got some of the materials to get myself half of the way there, then that's
a good excuse to start it. Yeah. Well, I suppose that's basically answered the next question I was going to ask you, because it seems like basically all of the cosplays you've done are fursuit based, or have like quite a significant coverage in terms of full masks and large armor.
Yep. I quite like, I think this is again from sort of my arty background, I like things being in proportion. And given that I'm short and quite large, the way I balance out my body type is by having something with a larger head. It basically
everything look a bit more proportional.
More in proportion. It makes the whole outfit look a bit more realistic, because again, it is in proportion. You haven't got a tiny human-sized head on a big chunky fur body. It doesn't look right. If I were to just sort of paint my face with sort of, I don't know, green face paints and make it look furry, I would look like the Grinch on steroids, because the fur and everything in the body wouldn't fit with the size of the head, and it just doesn't work visually. Whereas by having the sort of the mascot fursuit type head, it balances everything else out. Plus, it means I can hide if I run into children that I used to teach that I don't particularly want to see at conventions. Sort of, that was the initial. If I can hide, people don't know it's me, and I can enjoy the event more. But I've kind of got away from that now. I just like wearing the fursuit heads. So
yeah, fair. Although, are they comfortable? Because I know quite a lot of people who wear the likes of full fursuits, heavy armor, and they complain a lot about it's hot, it's warm, it rubs in every possible place.
It definitely gets hot.
Need a lot of breaks.
You do need quite a lot of breaks, which again, if there's a lot of young kids around, is quite hard because you don't want to take the head off in front of a young child and sort of break the image. But what I do a lot is I go outside, I take the head off, I get fresh air, I have a lot of water. Drinking plenty of water is really, really important. Obviously, you can see I wear glasses. I can't wear those inside the head, they'd steam up. So I have to have periods of time where I take the head off and put my glasses back on to stop me getting migraines and things. Contact lenses and fursuits don't really go very well together.
No.
So it is a bit of a chore at times, but the sort of the reaction you get, especially from young kids, with things like adults as well. Sort of the reaction is worth the effort that you kind of have to put in.
So it's a bit of a high difficulty, but a very high payoff when it comes to the end of it.
I think so, yeah. I don't think I've ever been to a single convention where I've not been completely buzzing and sort of hyper and really enjoying myself because of how sort of I like making, especially, I like making people's day when they come and they're like, oh my God, Bucky O'Hare, I remember that. And that sort of reaction makes it worth it. And it always makes me think, right, next convention I'm going to wear this, or next convention I'm going to do that. I've not been put off yet, so I suppose it's working, and it's keep going as long as it does.
Well, as long as you keep enjoying it, then I guess it's working. But there is something that's a little bit different from most of the others we've seen from you, and that's the liquor from Resident Evil that I don't think we could actually get a photo of.
Oh, right, yes. I might have actually... Do you want to run and grab it? It's around there. It's actually in the bag left over from Swansea. That one's a work in progress. I was supposed to be going to Walker Stalker Con earlier on in the year.
Okay.
But and obviously they had a cosplay competition at Walker Stalker Con, and I thought, well, I don't really fancy doing any of the human characters because just me doesn't fit. It sort of none of the characters really in the show would sort of work for my height and everything else. So I thought, right, well, if I pick something zombie universe based, so
that's a thing.
That's a scary thing.
Very.
So yes, so he was going to be for Walker Stalker Con, but I didn't end up going in the end. So he's going to be my 2017 Halloween costume.
I think you might win on Halloween costumes this year. That's terrifying.
And he's also been sort of coated in silicone, so if you ever get to sort of see it in real life and touch it,
feels weird and slimy and fleshy. Oh, yeah. Lovely.
And we have red glue gun, so it looks like actual blood dripping, and so it's really, really gross. It's going to be ideal for Halloween.
Oh, yeah. I feel so sorry for the kids wherever that is. Oh, dear. I think one of the other ones we had a picture of, though, was a Headless Horseman.
Yep, that was last year's Halloween costume.
Oh, okay.
I think I still have him. Do you want to grab him out of that bag?
No.
Oh, you're so prepared. Yeah. I love this.
You say prepared, I say lazy. I haven't put it away since Swansea last week.
Shh, don't break the image.
There we go. So this is my Headless Horseman. And he does actually have LED lights in him as well, but the batteries have perished, so I can't switch them on at the moment to show you. But yes, this was my Halloween costume last year, and I thought it would be really quite fun to ride my horse around the local parks and bridleways dressed as the Headless Horseman.
Night as well, of course. That's... I'd imagine you either made or ruined a few people's days with that one.
Yes. Well, it was rather popular when I was riding through the park on the horse. So, it went down quite well.
Yeah, it's... Again, like, just the shape and the colouring, and by the looks of it from here, several hundred miles away, the texture looks almost natural as well. Mm-hmm. That could be the lighting, I don't know. I can't actually tell from here. That's...
Well, that's one of the benefits of fleece fabric. It's really, really quite versatile. It takes airbrushing really well. It takes pro markers really well. It hot glue sticks to it really nicely, but it doesn't sort of bubble. It flows nicely over it, so it looks nice and drippy. Yeah, it's a very versatile fabric to work with. The downside is it's very warm. It's hot. It insulates everything.
Because felt is wool, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, felt is wool, and then fleece is it's actually recycled plastic bottles, PET. You can tell I'm a design technology teacher. So polar fleece is made from PET plastic bottles. Which makes it such a versatile. It's warm. It's not really breathable. But it's got an element of stretch to it, and it's just generally really quite robust as well because it's synthetic. It doesn't get eaten by moths, which is the downside of wool, especially if you've got.
Of course, because it's a natural fibre.
Takes dye nicer, but it encourages pests and it can disintegrate a lot quicker than the synthetic fabrics do.
So when it comes to things like this, if you want them to last a long time, go for the synthetic. If you want them to be
go for the synthetic.
Things...
I mean, we've done medieval reenactment, and I've got sort of wool tunics and wool dresses, and I'm constantly having to patch wear and tear as well as keep them shut away to stop the moths eating holes in them. I can always remember my very first really nice wool cloak. I left it in the attic over the off season, and then the next year, massive holes chewed out of it. So I learnt my lesson. Wool attracts moths really badly.
That's just not convenient.
No. Especially if you spent a long time hand sewing something, only to find it's got huge holes in it. Really not good. So yes, synthetic fabrics for the win.
Well, if they're going to last as long as possible, that's the one to go for then. But the other thing that we brought you on to chat about is Geekfest Swansea, which you were a guest at. Although I'm being told, that is half an hour. Would you like to chat about Swansea after we come back after a quick break?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the Costume and Play Chit Chat Show. I am here once again with Hannah and Sean of Fuzzbutt Cosplay, joined by Shu, the box troll, and Bucky O'Hare, who looks terrifying with only one eye. But you were some of the guests at Geekfest Swansea just recently. So what did you think about that? Did you have a nice experience?
It was brilliant. It was really, for a first time con at that location, it was a lot better than we expected it to be. I mean, you expect it to be quite small, but there was a really good turnout, and everybody was really sort of enthused about the event and that it was there. It was it was a really good one to go to. Everybody was just really, really nice.
That's always a positive, isn't it? Yes. And right now we can see a bit of a slideshow of some of the cosplayers we had there, and some of the tables as well, which has just shown up. From the looks of it and the sounds of it, from everything I've heard, it was a really good con. It was, especially for the first time. Yeah,
for a first time. I mean, the university is a little bit out of the way. I know apparently a few people did have problems finding it, but considering it was a bit out of the way, and things like people that stayed in hotels had stayed in the town, which was harder to get to it, it still went really, really well. And I don't think there were many snags at all during the day, other than sort of a few unfortunate accidents and bits and pieces of people that were supposed to be coming to the con. But other than that, I think the day went really, really well. And I think it's one that people are really looking forward to being repeated.
Yeah, well, you could never expect it to be perfect, but as long as everyone had fun, then it was a successful event.
It went far too quickly. The day just went like that.
Which is not as much of an issue at Insomnia Gaming Festival, which is a 4-day event, and you should all totally come. especially if you're in Wales, because it's not that far away. Or most of England, it's not that far away. Just a hell of a long way from Scotland. But luckily, you were at Swansea. So what did you get up to while you were there?
Shenanigans, lots of shenanigans. Lots of shenanigans. They had chocolate Batman brownies.
Why was I not there?
I ate Chewbacca's balls.
Yes, the same cake
family
store
show.
had Wookiee Chewbacca balls, which had like a cream egg in the middle, and then cake brownie around it, and then chocolate flakes, and they were called Chewbacca balls. And yeah, everybody bought one. Apparently, they were brilliant. So there was lots of sugar. that
Which
started
I'm sure
the day
helped
off
with
really
the
well.
shenanigans.
Yeah, sugar was a really good kickstart. And then obviously, because everybody was fueled up on sugar, there were things like there was the cosplay blind date, which was hilarious. That was the first time I'd seen that done, and I think that went really well. It was nice to sort of see people doing it, sort of really being in character as well. And it was really funny to watch. Then we did. We had a panel. And I think my panel title was "Why on Earth Did I Think This Was a Good Idea?" which is pretty much most of my cosplays, and pretty much something I end up uttering every time I come up with a new cosplay to finish.
In fairness, I think that's most people's reaction to when they actually decide to do a cosplay. Why the hell did it do
it's standard. It should be tattooed across certain people's because
it's like the last 24 hours of a cosplay kind of preparation. It's why did I think this was a good idea?
It's the day before con should be titled "Why Am I Doing This Day?" And that was my first proper panel, which was a bit nerve-wracking. It was quite scary as well because two of my ex-students were sat in the audience. They behaved themselves. There were no stories of the scary teacher Hannah. And that went really well. That was actually really interesting to do, and it was nice actually to see people that were enthusiastic and wanted to ask me questions.
Quite a good crowd, wasn't it?
It was really nice. And again, considering it was the first time I'd done a panel, it was really welcoming, and it was a really nice venue to be in. So there was that, and then Jess from Costume and Play did a really good talk on sort of theatrics and the world of theatre versus cosplay, which was really interesting to watch. I actually sat through and listened to most of it, and one of the things that stuck with me from that was the way that people that are in a production have people doing all the lighting, they have the set, they have they have all the preparation, they have people to move stuff around for them, they have people that deal with all the tech on their own, whereas when you're in a cosplay masquerade you have to do all of that yourself, and it's sort of really big kudos to people that get up there and sort their own music and sort their own timing and stand on the stage in the correct place, and they practice their routines, and it's a lot to do, especially in a short sort of space of time and in a confined space. So I really, really liked the talk that Jess gave. I thought that was a really, really positive and informative, but it also made you feel, I'm out here and I'm doing this, and I feel good for doing it. So that was brilliant. And then after that, we were asked to help with judging the masquerade, which was the first time I'd ever done anything sort of on that scale. And that was really hard. The standard of cosplay for the day, if you have a look through the image stream that has been going on from Swansea, you'll see that there's some really, really detailed costumes, and people had put a lot of effort as well into the performances that they did with them. It wasn't just a case of walk on, ta-da, walk off. They'd all got their own music. They'd all practiced routines. Some people even got up and sang.
Munger, it was her first time ever doing it. It was her first convention, her first masquerade.
Yeah.
She was nervous as anything, but as soon as she opened her mouth and belted this song, I was like, wow, goosebumps instantly. It was the most amazing.
Yeah. And Non Humphreys as well, she got up and sang. She was dressed as Cersei Lannister, and she got up and sang as well. And it was chilling. It was brilliant.
It's always amazing when people can get up and just it seems like they're not going to do something amazing, and then they do.
Yeah.
It was almost like a voice
thing.
moment. It was like if there was a big golden button there, it gone bang.
Yeah, it was, and it's really sort of inspiring to see people that can get up and just do that in front of complete strangers. It takes a hell of a lot of effort and courage to do that. I used a different word that I'm not going to use now. But yeah, it was. I mean, there were 16 cosplayers entered the masquerade altogether, and I couldn't, there's not a negative thing I could think of for any of the people that entered. We had these lovely sheets with boxes where you give people marks out of 10 for things like creativity, performance, the overall cosplay image. And I was sat there writing all these little comments in each one, thinking, "Oh, this was really good," and then on this was really good, and I liked that. And the only downer I'd say is certain people after the masquerade, they left quite quickly, so I didn't get to catch up with everybody and give them a bit of feedback and talk to them and tell them what I really liked about each thing. Because obviously, with all sort of competitions and masquerades, there's only there's your limited few that get your honorable mentions, and then your sort of your performance, and then you have to pick winners, which was really hard. I think it took Sean, myself, and Dee quite a while to decide sort of who went where and how you could justify the decisions that we made. We went into a full-on debate on it, and Jess got drawn in as well. So it was really hard for a small first-time convention. The level of effort that people put in was brilliant. It was really, really good. So yeah. It's not something that's easy to do. Judging, being the other side of the table and having to watch people and see how everybody transforms into their character, it's really, really hard to choose. And you wish you could give everybody something for the effort and the fact that they've got up and done it. Because some people, especially while we were having a quick sort of chat in the line on the sort of the beforehand while everybody's getting sorted into their order, some people were extremely nervous. They couldn't get words out. They were sort of stuttering, and you're thinking, okay, calm down, it's okay, you're going to be fine. But
just cosplayers as well.
We're just cosplayers as well. We're not going to bite you, we're not going to eat you, this is our first time doing this. And it was sort of then brilliant to see them get up, do their performance, be really confident, and then walk off again. So it was an eye-opener. It was really enjoyable, but at the same time, it was. I think all three of us could agree that it was hard to choose the winners. I think one of the photographs in the slideshow that you've been showing that has the in the end we ended up with a first, two in joint second, and then the overall winner as well. And the picture of the four cosplayers together, they were the ones that we chose, and they were really, really good, and it was really nice to see sort of their efforts. So that pictures everybody. A really nice crowd of really good standard cosplays. I mean, you couldn't just sort of pick one and say, everybody had positives. That's the picture there of our sort of our winners. And it was nice to get a chat with each of them afterwards as well, and give a bit of feedback as to what they could do to improve. It was nice to see people coming and asking us, what would you like to see from us to improve, or how can we do better on this next time? And that actually was really quite a humbling experience, that people wanted to ask our opinion on how to improve. Whereas we're all constantly trying to improve and trying to get there. So it was just nice to have that sort of feedback and conversation with them afterwards as well.
Yeah. So you've answered all the questions I was going to ask. Okay.
Sorry,
no, this is good.
My bad.
So being on the other side of the table, essentially, was a positive experience for you in terms of getting an idea of what it's like to be on the other end, what judges are expecting to see from your performances, and getting a feel for not being terrified because there's dozens of eyes on you while you're on stage with lights pointed at your face.
It was definitely a positive experience. I would advise sort of people that do a lot of conventions, if you do get asked sort of to help with judging, or if you get approached with sort of the opportunity to be on the other side of it rather than being in the masquerade, it does actually open your eyes to what other people do and how much effort goes into things. And I think it gives you another sort of outlook on the cosplay in general, because it's not about you, it's not about your performance for once, it's you looking at everybody else's and studying everybody else's, and generally just being impressed by what other people can pull out of the bag. So I would, if anybody does get asked would you like to judge, even if it's a small local cosplay masquerade, if you get approached and asked to do it, I would advise you to do it, because I think it's a good thing to sort of understand and experience, because then you get a little bit more of a feel of, when you're stood up there being judged, what they're looking for and what they're thinking, because no judges are out to get anybody or pick their best mates. It's about sort of being professional and picking the ones that you think deserve to win, because they have the full package. They meet the performance, they meet the craftsmanship, they meet the overall character appearance and sort of thing. And it's I would advise, if you get offered to judge, do it. It's worthwhile as an experience. It's probably about the best I can say on the matter.
Yeah. Well,
and a thank
you can't
you
say
to
fairer than that.
Play for asking us.
Yeah.
I am going to take full credit for doing so. I had no involvement in that. But if you want to guest for us, be nice, be good, be all of the above things. Be like Hannah and Sean.
Don't
They're
say
wonderful.
that. That's
Make
really
huge,
not good
amazing
advice, please.
fursuit cosplays. But yeah, you've mentioned a little bit about like how much you liked the venue. Was there anything like really specific that you could say sold that venue to you?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Well, personally, a little bit of trivia. I actually did my teaching degree at that venue. So the cosplay hall was the actual lecture theatre that I had to go to for most of my teacher training lectures, which made it a little bit more homely and a bit more comfortable for me, because I knew the venue. Other than that, it was things like the catering, the canteen on site, brilliant food.
Well, that's always a plus, isn't it?
It's really good. You need to eat while you're cosplaying. Seriously, you can't go all day without eating. And I have been to some conventions that things like the parking was so expensive.
Yeah.
The tickets to get in were so expensive. I didn't have any money for food. I was literally just there on a shoestring. And the fact that being affordably able to eat and drink and have a comfortable day, it makes a convention a lot more enjoyable. So the venue itself was really good. I think the selection of dealers and things that you had as well, it was nice. There was some stunning artwork there. I really liked a lot of the artwork that was there. A couple of friends of mine, Jason and Kat Cardy, they were there doing sort of commissions and artwork. The cake sellers, we've already said about the Batman brownies. They were to die for.
The Batman brownies and the Wookiee balls.
The Chewbacca's balls, yes.
Yeah, that we're definitely allowed to talk about on stream because it's food, nothing else.
It was definitely food. I don't have any photos of it, unfortunately. Somebody somewhere must have photos.
It was kind of I'm a celebrity.
Oh, they've got to.
But yeah, they were brilliant, and I think just the whole atmosphere in general, everybody was really up for the team of people sort of guiding people around. I like the fact that you've got your two dealers halls split, so you'd got one room full of certain things, and then off down a corridor you'd got another lot. There was photo shoots going on. Jeff from is it Golden Dragon?
Yeah,
Golden Dragon Photography were doing photo shoots, and Jeff's a really, really, really nice professional photographer. So it was good for people to go and get quality photos at the event. I saw a few of his results, which came out really, really well. What else was there? I'm trying to think. It was so much in a day.
Yeah,
it was like... You know when you just so much gets crammed into a day and then the day goes so quickly. You can remember bits, but then some of it is kind of a blur.
You spent quite a lot of the clock watching as well. Like, when's our panel?
There was the nervous running up to the panel, and then once my panel was done, it was kind of like, okay, now I can breathe and watch other people's panels.
Oh no, we're judging. Oh.
And then it's like, oh, it's the masquerade now, which is good. Trying to think in other terms of the venue, it was accessible, it was inclusive. Obviously you'd got ramps and things. It wasn't sort of hard for people to get to all of the areas, which was nice. It was nice that the cosplay area had its own room, but then some people might say that made the cosplay area quieter because some people didn't really stray away from the main part of the convention down into the cosplay area. But I think with more signage and things next year, that could be dealt with. That's not a problem. It was nice that it was all in it, because when you're in a cosplay that's quite complicated, it is hot and it's difficult walking through a crowd, especially if all of the stuff is in the same hall. I'm not naming names, but I've been to a convention in the past that it was literally a full hall full of dealers' tables, and then the cosplay was the stage at the back, and you all had to queue in a crowd, and people were knocking into each other. It was really claustrophobic. You couldn't hear your name being called out to go onto the stage, and it was really quite a stressful, panic-inducing situation. Before you
which
were
is
about
not
to go
what you
on a
want
massive
going
stage.
on to. Yeah.
So you could tell that a lot of thought had gone into the layout of this convention, and even though certain people criticised the fact that the cosplay was in a separate area, I think it was a positive choice. It was a good call, and obviously with a little bit more signage and maybe a bit more direction of people into that area, that can be resolved and improved on next year, because it really needs to happen again next year.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, our whole crew who run the masquerades are absolutely fantastic with things like that. And our technicians are also great at running a cosplay masquerade. Hint, hint. It's the guy who's running this, which is... so did you have a real favourite bit of the convention that actually just made the entire thing for you? Or is it just so many things in one?
It was, the whole day was amazing. Personally, being sat in the judges' table and watching other people perform, and especially when one of Hannah's pupils, she was a really nervous girl. To speak to her like person to person, you get no words out of her hardly.
Very quiet.
And she opened her mouth and belted this song out, and she hadn't even sung this song before. She hadn't even practiced this song, and it was like, I was literally blown away. It was absolutely amazing. I think that made it for me, was that girl doing that performance. I mean, even though she did, she had got an honorable mention, I think that literally made my day, was the way she belted that out.
Yeah, I think overall, obviously, like I said, the whole event was just such a positive event. We came away buzzing, smiling from ear to ear. It got to the end of the day and you were like, oh, where's the rest of the day gone? And, it wasn't exhaustion. It was a really, really good convention. But the masquerade itself, it was such a friendly, welcoming... It was a community masquerade, and it embodied the sort of sense of community in every sense of it. There were people there that had never got up and done this before. There were people that had done it before, but were really, really nervous because, they different anxieties and sort of new costumes that they hadn't worn out before, or there were some people that were a gibbering wreck at one point, but it was literally the perfect sort of opportunity to get up and sort of have a go at the masquerade, because there was nobody there that was negative in any way. I don't think I heard anything negative all day. And considering at some conventions you've now got people coming in just to harass cosplayers, it was a bit of an issue at Cardiff.
Right.
People are just buying tickets to come into conventions to be trolls. You know,
and unfortunately, not the fun boxy kind.
No, not the lovely, you know, shoe the box troll kind. It's sort of people that haven't got anything better to do, and they'd rather pick on and bully people that are in this sort of creative community. There wasn't a single aspect of that at Swansea at all. There was nothing negative. It was really, like I said, a community event, and it felt brilliant to be there. And sort of roll on next year, please.
Yeah.
Well, we will do our best, and hopefully you'll be there again.
Well, definitely.
Definitely.
So if you had any, would you have any major recommendations to anyone attending either the Swansea event or the Cardiff, or I believe there's a Newport Geek Fest as well?
Yes, that is coming up in August, am I right? My brain isn't quite in August yet. We're still worrying about what's happening next week.
Yeah, pretty much.
But from what I remember, Geek Fest Newport is in the August box of my year. And it's definitely one that I'm going to be attending. We're hoping to have a new sort of, I don't want to use the word couples cosplay because it's not like a couples cosplay, but the both of us will be partaking in a cosplay that is we're both cosplaying from the same thing. So it's not really a couple's cosplay, but it is, you know what I mean?
It's a couple who happens to be cosplaying from the same thing.
Yes. From Labyrinth, funny enough.
Oh, okay.
So we're hoping to have that cosplay ready for that event. And we were actually at last year's Newport Geek Fest, which was again a brilliant event. We went on the Sunday. And again, everybody had put so much effort in. The costume and play photo area that was done up with the trees and the sort of the whole set that had been made. So much effort. It's.
That was where you wanted back in Deadeye, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Do you want to go and grab me? Oh no, leave it on there. I actually have one of the coveted costume and play trophies because Bucky and Deadeye managed to win the cosplay on the Sunday last year, which was gobsmacking. I think I was crying inside my fursuit.
Deadeye fell off the stage.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the last thing Jess said to us before we went on stage was don't fall off. And because the stage was like a capital T, and you got your two little, and it was black, you got your two little corner bits, and Sean went plummeting head first out of the corner of the stage and hit the floor. So yeah, Newport Geek Fest, that's definitely on our radar for this year. I can't wait for that event because we enjoyed it so much last year. We definitely, cannot wait to be at that one again this year. That's always a really positive one. The effort goes into it, sort of the location is really good, and the Geek Fest team in general, they know what they're doing. The events run well, there's a lot of positives. So anybody that's umming and ahhing or thinking about that one, definitely go to it. I know a couple of friends of ours are coming down to visit from Scotland specifically to go to a couple of events in August, and I think that's one of the ones they're coming to with us.
And you can't say much better than that, can you? No. Someone would travel, 800-900 miles just to go to one day convention, 2-day convention.
Definitely. It's worth it. It's a good one to go to.
Fair enough. I think I've run out of questions. You see, you've been such a wonderful guest. You've run me all out of questions. But yeah. So I've been McDutton, and this was the wonderful Hannah and Sean of Fuzzbutt Cosplay, and guest appearance from Shu and Bucky O'Hare, who have been staring at me the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying. At least I know vaguely where Wales is, and I know that Newport, Swansea, and Cardiff are all somewhere in the south of it.
That's pretty good going.
Yep. So that's been us, and we will see you next time, which I believe is Friday. Friday this week, actually. We're going to be moving our schedule around a little bit. So it's goodbye from me. And hopefully goodbye from everyone else.